Before sunrise, the bell above the schoolhouse began to ring, not for fire, not for flood, for a child who had stopped breathing. Mara Vale was already inside when Daniel Hart reached the room. Her sleeves were rolled to the elbows, her hands were wet. A copper kettle screamed on the stove while steam gathered beneath a quilt she had hung over 2 chairbacks. On the bed, 9-year-old Ruth Gable fought for every breath. Mara did not look up when Daniel entered. "Shut the door," she said. "You're letting the heat out." He obeyed before he had time to wonder why. Outside, half of Bellwether Crossing stood in the snow, whispering the same name they had used for 10 years whenever cattle died, marriages failed, or children woke from bad dreams. Mara Vale. The woman from the abandoned telegraph house. The woman mothers warned their daughters not to become. The woman no decent man was supposed to visit after dark. And yet, with the doctor trapped beyond Red Butte Pass, she was the only person in the valley who had walked into that room. The strange part was not that the town feared her. The strange part was how many of them were alive, because she never returned the favor. 3 months earlier, Daniel Hart had known Mara only as a shape at the far edge of town. She came in on Thursdays, always before the streets grew crowded. She sold goat cheese, beeswax, and little paper packets of dried herbs at the back counter of Gable's Mercantile. She wore the same charcoal coat no matter the weather, the cuffs polished pale from use. Her dark hair stayed pinned under a faded blue scarf. She spoke when spoken to, paid exactly what she owed, and left before anyone could decide whether to be polite. People decided things anyway. They said she had no warmth in her. They said trouble followed her property line. They said a man had once offered her a proper life and she had thrown it back in his face. Daniel had heard every version. He believed none of them strongly enough to repeat, but enough to keep his distance. That changed on a morning when the irrigation gate failed. Spring runoff had filled Blackglass Ditch faster than anyone expected. The wooden gate above Daniel's lower field had swollen in its frame, then snapped free with a sound like a rifle shot. Water hit the narrow footbridge broadside. Daniel's 10-year-old son, Noah, was standing on it. The bridge twisted. One rail tore loose. Noah caught the remaining rope with both hands and swung above the brown water, boots striking the current. Daniel was 50 yards away behind a wagon. He heard his son scream and ran. Mara reached the ditch first. She had been walking the upper road with a basket over one arm. She dropped it in the mud without looking back, slid down the bank, and wrapped the bridge rope around the trunk of a cottonwood. "Don't pull yourself up," she called. Noah's face was white with terror. "I can't hold on." "Yes, you can, but stop fighting the water." The current slammed his legs against the broken planks. Mara braced both boots, looped the rope around her forearm, and leaned back until it cut through her coat. "Look at me," she said. Noah did. "When I say now, let go with your right hand." He shook his head wildly. "Your right hand, Noah, not both. I have you." Daniel hit the bank just as Noah obeyed. Mara hauled the rope sideways, changing the boy's angle to the current. Daniel understood at once. He waded thigh-deep, caught Noah beneath the arms, and dragged him onto the mud. For several seconds, no one spoke. Noah coughed ditch water onto Daniel's shirt. Daniel held him so hard the boy grunted. Then Daniel looked at Mara. The rope had stripped skin from her wrist. Blood ran into her palm. "You knew his name," he said. Mara unwound the rope. "Everybody knows a child's name," she answered. "Adults are the ones people pretend not to know." She climbed the bank, picked up her basket, and found 3 of the cheese rounds crushed into the mud. Daniel started to thank her. She was already walking. That afternoon, he went to Gable's Mercantile for lamp oil and asked the question Bellwether had trained itself not to ask. "What happened to Mara Vale?" Mrs. Gable stopped counting nails. She was a square-built woman with silver hair and the habit of looking over her spectacles whenever someone approached a subject she considered expensive. "Nothing happened to her," she said. Daniel set the lamp oil on the counter. "That's not what the town acts like. The town remembers." "Remembers what?" Mrs. Gable tied the paper around the nails more tightly than necessary. "Harlan Pike asked her to marry him." Daniel knew the name. Everyone did. Pike owned the largest livery, 2 freight wagons, and the only brick house within 30 miles. That was 10 years ago. Some stories age better than people. "What did you do, Mrs.?" Gable gave him a long look. She said no. Daniel waited. Mrs. Gable returned to the nails. "That's all?" That was enough for Harlan. Outside, a freight train rattled over the road. Daniel could see Pike's brick chimney above the roofs, clean and straight against the sky. "What reason did she give?" "Ask her." The answer should have ended it. Instead, it followed Daniel home. Noah sat near the stove that night with both feet wrapped in blankets. He kept describing the rescue as though Daniel had not been there. "She knew the rope would pull me sideways," he said. "She knew before you did." Daniel fed another split log into the fire. "She had a better angle." "No, she knew." Daniel looked at him. The boy's hair was still damp. There was a red mark across each palm where the bridge rope had burned him. "People say she's mean," Noah continued. "People say many things. She wasn't mean to me." Daniel closed the stove door. "No," he said, "she wasn't." The next Thursday he waited outside the mercantile until Mara came down the street. She carried 2 jars of honey and a bundle of tallow candles tied with twine. Her eyes touched him once, then moved to his horse. "How's the boy?" "Angry that I won't let him near the ditch." "Then he's fine." Daniel held out a small paper parcel. She did not take it. "What is it?" "Coffee." "I didn't save him for coffee." "I know. Then why bring it?" "Because I bought too much." Mara looked at the parcel, then at the mercantile window, where Mrs. Gable had suddenly found the shelves fascinating. "You're a poor liar, Mr. Hart." "So I've been told." After a moment, Mara accepted the coffee. "Your boy should rub pine salve into his palms before the skin splits," she said. "I'll leave some with Mrs. Gable." She moved past him. Daniel turned. "Where do you live?" That stopped her, not for long, just enough to make the street feel quieter. "You know where? The old telegraph house?" "The house stopped being old when I fixed the roof." Then she walked away. Noah insisted on delivering the empty salve tin himself. The telegraph house sat 2 miles west of town, where the road narrowed between black volcanic ridges. Its signal pole had been struck by lightning years earlier, leaving a charred mast beside the roof. Mara had turned the operator's room into a kitchen and the message office into a workroom. Bundles of yarrow and mint hung from the rafters. Bees moved in and out of 3 box hives behind the fence. Nothing about the place felt cursed. It felt used. Tools hung by size. Firewood was stacked beneath canvas. A rain barrel fed a narrow garden where onions pushed through the soil in straight green rows. Mara opened the door before Daniel knocked. "Noah," she said. The boy held out the tin. "Pa said I had to return it." Daniel frowned. "I said you should. You used had in your voice." For the first time, Daniel saw the corner of Mara's mouth lift. It vanished before he was certain. She let them in. The visits began with practical excuses. A loose hinge, a sack of oats, a jar that needed returning, a cough Noah developed whenever the wind blew dust from the north. Daniel brought supplies. Mara sent him home with remedies. Honey, repaired harness stitching, and once a loaf of dark bread that disappeared before they reached the first bend. They spoke in pieces. Mara asked about the lower field. Daniel asked how she had learned rope work. "My father ran freight teams," she said. "A rope is only useful if you understand what the weight wants." Another time he found her replacing a cracked pane with oiled paper. "You could have asked for glass," he said. "I did." Who refused? No one refused. They all promised. That line stayed with him longer than it should have. By early summer, Noah no longer waited for permission to enter the yard. He checked the hives from a respectful distance and read old telegraph notices Mara kept in a wooden box. She taught him the alphabet in Morse by tapping a spoon against the table. Daniel watched her with him. There was no awkwardness in her kindness, no performance. She never became softer because a child was present. She simply paid attention. That was rarer. One evening, thunder rolled over Red Butte while Daniel helped repair the goat shed. Rain struck the tin roof so hard they had to stand close to hear one another. Mara passed him a square nail. "You've been asking about Harlan Pike," she said. Daniel nearly dropped the hammer. "I asked one question. In Bellwether, that counts as a campaign." He drove the nail halfway, then stopped. "You could tell me to mind my own business." "I have considered it." Rainwater ran through a break in the gutter and beat a dark line into the dirt. Mara sat on the workbench, hands resting loosely in her lap. "My brother's name was Samuel," she said. Daniel set the hammer down. "He was 14 when our mother died. Fever left him weak on one side and unable to speak clearly. Harlan called him simple. He wasn't. Samuel could repair a telegraph key with a bent pin and hear a storm through the wire before clouds crossed the ridge. A flash of lightning turned the yard white. "Harlan wanted the freight contracts my father left me," Mara continued. "He wanted the house too. Marriage would have given him both." "You knew that?" "I knew what he asked about first." Daniel leaned against the post. "And Samuel?" "Harlan said the county home in Larkspur would take him." The rain changed, growing heavier. Mara's voice did not. He said a wife could not begin a respectable household with a burden already in it. Daniel's jaw tightened. So you refused him? I told him there are men who build homes and men who only clear space for themselves. What did he do? He smiled. That answer carried more menace than anger would have. 3 weeks later, Samuel fell ill. By the time the doctor came, his lungs were filling. Harlan told people I had refused proper help because I trusted herbs and stubbornness. Was that true? I sent riders in 2 directions. The north road was washed out. The south rider's horse broke a leg. Daniel said nothing. Samuel died before morning, she finished. Harlan attended the burial. He told everyone grief had made me strange. The rain drummed on the roof. And they believed him. Some did, some didn't care. The result was the same. Daniel looked toward the house. Through the window, Noah was tapping Morse against the table, ... waiting for thunder to answer. Why didn't you tell them? Mara looked at him then. People who need a lie are not usually waiting for better information. A long silence followed. Daniel picked up the hammer, but did not swing it. I'm sorry about Samuel, I know. It was the first time she had said those words to him without armor. The storm passed before dark. On the ride home, Noah asked what message he had been tapping. Daniel looked down at him in the saddle. What did it say? Come home. Autumn arrived dry and yellow. Then the cough began. At first it was only 1 child missing from school, then 3. Then Mrs. Gable's niece developed a fever high enough to make her speak nonsense. The doctor left for a ranch berth beyond Red Butte and did not return before snow closed the pass. By the second night, the town understood it was not dealing with an ordinary cold. The church opened its meeting room. Families carried blankets there because the schoolhouse stove drew better than most home fireplaces. The bell rang whenever another child worsened. Mara heard it from the telegraph house. 1 ring, pause, 2 rings, pause, the old fire code. Help needed. She stood in her kitchen with 1 hand on the table. For 10 years, Bellwether had used whispers instead of a bell when it wanted to warn people about her. Now the bell was calling into the dark. Mara took her coat. At the schoolhouse, Mrs. Gable met her on the steps. For a second, neither woman moved. Behind the door, a child coughed until the sound became a choke. Mrs. Gable stepped aside. Mara entered. She worked through the night without asking who had spoken against her. She ordered water boiled, bedding separated, windows opened for short intervals despite the cold, and cups washed before they were reused. She showed mothers how to keep sick children upright when the coughing tightened. She marked each fever on scraps of slate and sent healthy siblings to sleep in the church vestibule. Daniel arrived after midnight with firewood. What do you need? He asked. More kettles, clean cloth, and someone to stop Reverend Bell from praying over the water while it boils away. Daniel glanced toward the stove where the Reverend stood with both hands raised. I can manage that. For 2 days, the town held. Then Ruth Gable stopped breathing. The girl had been improving. By sunset, she had even asked for broth. Near midnight, her throat closed so quickly her mother had time to call her name only once before panic filled the room. The bell began to ring. Mara lifted Ruth from the bed and carried her into the teacher's quarters where the air was warmer. She built a steam tent with chairs and quilts. She kept the child upright. She cleared her mouth, counted breaths, changed cloths, and spoke in the same low voice she had used beside Blackglass Ditch. Stay with me. Ruth's chest barely moved. Mrs. Gable stood frozen against the wall. Daniel reached the room as the wind threw the outer door open. Cold air rushed across the floor. Mara did not turn. Shut it. He did. What can I do? Hold that quilt. Keep the steam in. He took the edge from her cramped hand. For the next hour, Bellwether Crossing narrowed to a bed, a kettle, and the thin rise of a child's ribs. Outside, people collected beneath the schoolhouse windows. Harlan Pike came too. He stayed near the back, wrapped in a good wool coat, his face pale in the lantern light. Inside, Ruth's breathing weakened. Mrs. Gable whispered, "Please." Mara pressed 2 fingers lightly beneath the girl's jaw. "Not yet," she said. Whether she spoke to the mother, the child, or death itself, Daniel could not tell. The kettle ran dry. Daniel crossed the room, filled it, returned. Mara's hands shook once when she reached for the next cloth, only once. Then they steadied. Near dawn, Ruth dragged in a breath deep enough to lift the blanket. Everyone heard it. Another followed, then another. The terrible whistle in her throat loosened. Mara waited through 10 more breaths before allowing anyone to move. Mrs. Gable sank beside the bed and covered her mouth. Daniel lowered the quilt. The room was wet with steam. Condensation ran down the glass. The fire had burned to red coals. Ruth opened her eyes. "Mama," Mrs. Gable made a sound Daniel would remember for the rest of his life. Mara stepped back. No triumph crossed her face, no demand for apology. She checked the girl's pulse, adjusted the blanket, and reached for her coat. Mrs. Gable caught her wrist, the same wrist the rope had burned months before. "Why did you come?" she asked. Mara looked at the hand holding her. "Because the bell rang." "That's not what I mean." Mara's gaze moved to Ruth. "Yes," she said quietly, "it is." She left before the sun cleared the ridge. Daniel followed her into the snow. The crowd opened without being asked. For the first time in 10 years, no one lowered their voice when she passed. Harlan Pike stood near the steps. Mara stopped in front of him. He looked older than Daniel remembered. Smaller, too. "You always did enjoy making a scene," Pike said. Daniel felt anger rise. But Mara lifted one hand. Not to silence Pike. To keep Daniel from speaking for her. "No," she said. "You enjoyed making a story. I only survived it." Pike's mouth tightened. "You think one night changes what people know?" Mara looked past him at the schoolhouse windows, where mothers held their children beneath the weak amber lamps. "One night rarely changes what people know," she said. "Sometimes it changes what they can keep pretending." She walked on. No one followed Pike when he left. The valley did not transform in a day. Real shame seldom moves that quickly. But small things began to alter. Mrs. Gable placed Mara's honey on the front shelf instead of the back counter. Reverend Bell repaired the fence around the telegraph house without turning it into a sermon. 3 mothers came for advice and stayed long enough to drink coffee. Harlan Pike stopped receiving freight contracts after Daniel and 2 ranchers compared old bills and discovered how often Pike had charged widows more than men. That was not Mara's revenge. She never asked for it. It was simply what happened when a town finally became curious about one lie and began examining the others. Winter softened. Noah resumed his Morse lessons. One evening, Daniel found Mara on the telegraph house roof replacing a strip of flashing before the thaw. "You could ask for help," he called. "You could climb faster." He did. They worked until sunset, passing nails and tools without conversation. From the roof, Bellwether looked small enough to hold in 2 hands. Smoke rose from chimneys. The schoolhouse bell stood black against a violet sky. Daniel sat back on his heels. "They used your name like that, Bell," he said. Mara kept her eyes on the flashing, loud and irritating, as a warning, that too. He smiled, but she did not. Daniel looked toward the town. "A bell can warn people away," he said, "or it can tell them where they're needed." Mara pressed the metal flat. "And which am I?" He answered carefully. "The person who hears it." Her hand stopped. Wind moved over the roof, cold with the last of winter. Daniel had practiced other words, better words, he thought. Words about admiration, courage, the life he could imagine if she wanted it to. None of them survived the look on her face. So he told the truth. "Noah loves you." Mara looked down. "I know. I love you." She closed her eyes, not from surprise. From the weight of hearing something she had trained herself not to need. Daniel waited. He did not reach for her. He did not ask her to answer quickly. He had learned enough to know that patience was not the same as silence, and love was not a door a man had the right to close behind someone. At last Mara opened her eyes. Harlan said love meant making room for him. Daniel nodded. He was wrong. "What does it mean to you?" Daniel looked at the patched roof, the black ridges. "The road Noah had run down 100 times. Not asking you to abandon anything that made you yourself." The wind lifted the edge of her blue scarf. This time, when Daniel reached to catch it, he stopped before touching her. Mara watched his hand. Then she leaned forward just enough to place the loose end in his palm. "Start there," she said. They married in late spring beneath the repaired signal pole. There was no grand procession, no white carriage, no speech about the town becoming better than it had been. Noah tapped the wedding date in Morse on the porch rail until Mrs. Gable threatened to confiscate the spoon. Ruth carried yellow flowers. Reverend Bell kept the ceremony short, perhaps because Mara had warned him she would leave if he compared marriage to obedience. Daniel made only one promise beyond the required words. "I will never confuse loving you with owning your choices." Mara studied him for a long moment. Then she said, "Good." The whole yard laughed, even Mara. By the following winter, the telegraph house had become the place people went before trouble became disaster. A shelf held labeled jars. A slate near the door listed births, fevers, injuries, and the roads most likely to wash out. Daniel built a second room for patients who needed warmth. Noah restrung the old telegraph wire between the house and town, not to send messages across the territory, but to ring a small brass bell in Mara's kitchen whenever the schoolhouse needed her. The first time it sounded, Mara looked up from the table. One clear ring, no fear in it, no accusation, just a call. She took her coat. For years, Bellwether Crossing had used Mara Vale's name to warn people away. In the end, it became the name they called when they needed someone to come.